Hello and welcome to episode 284 of the Should I Play This Game podcast. I've been away, I'm going to be away again, but in between time we're going to get together and have a podcast. So hello Steve, how are you?
Hello, the hooded figure
The hooded figure.
of Steve.
Yes, this is
I'm feeling
17th of
very
July
dark.
2023. Probably going to be a relatively short episode today, I think.
I don't think it's a problem. I've said the list of games suggests, shit.
We haven't done much either side.
Mainly because I'm a fucking idiot.
So, yeah, as I said, I've been away last week and I'll be away again. So that'll even, when we come back together to do this again, it'll probably be a very short list for me again, but we'll see where we go.
So does that mean you're away for next weekend?
I can record next weekend for some stuff.
Okay.
But I'm going to be away for another week, and so.
What?
But you've got two new games, one of which I've already played a bit of, so I'll get you in just to get your thoughts on that one. But what have you been playing, Steve, since when did we last record? Let's go check that out.
2 weeks ago.
Was it really 2 weeks ago? It was 2. Okay.
Yep. Because we had a normal podcast at the start of the holidays, the middle weekend of the holidays. I did a checkout of Diablo 4's endgame content.
Oh, yes.
And then, yeah, we're here. Now we're here. It's the last weekend. It's the last day of the holidays. When this goes up, I will have been back at work.
Ah, yes. So,
Second day back at work in the last 5 weeks.
You fully recovered?
That's a great question.
Define fully recovered?
I'm still not 100% sure. Like, it was feeling okay the last couple of days. And then I think I may have, I don't know. I still get some cramp-like pain in where it was, and that's been sort of subsiding a little bit the last couple of days, but maybe after getting pissed off and just being a dickhead, it may come back a little bit. I don't know. It's very much wait and see.
Fair enough.
It's very much do shit and see what happens. Next school holidays, I've got the third Teachers Games, where I'm looking to go back to back in the basketball.
Okay.
And because I haven't touched the basketball basically since the last one, I need to get into sort of workout mode and get some shooting practice in. But obviously, if I'm getting pain there, fucking running and shooting is going to be fucked. So I need to sort of see where it's at and how it's going and all that sort of deal. But, feels alright enough for me to go back to work.
Okay.
At least tomorrow. Or at least by tomorrow when we're recording this. Today or had been back at work. Today when this goes live.
Yep.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yep.
Kind of.
So.
But yeah.
What have you been playing?
Nowhere near as much as what I would like to have. They're still playing games of one in particular has kind of screwed me a bit, but we'll get to that. I finished off Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun.
Mm-hmm.
I finished it on hard. Died a few times in the last boss in particular, and I was getting a bit frustrated at it in the moment, but I actually really enjoyed it when all was said and done.
Mm-hmm.
I love the look of it, sort of combining the very old school, almost pixelated look of like Doom and first person shooters of that era, to the point where when you're looking at the dead corpse and you adjust your view, you can actually see, like Doom, the body sort of rotating with the actual view, which is really funny.
Yeah.
The movement, but it, like, with that old look, it has a real pace to it, and there's some really cool lighting effects that go on as you're playing as well. And because it's so fast, like, the movement's really fast, but there's a heft to it, which you want because you're this big space marine. But so when you're running, you hear this chonk, 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 but you're actually moving really quite quickly. I thought the combat was mostly strong, mostly really enjoyable. There are a few parts where you get bogged down in a bit of bullet sponginess. That end boss in particular was one that there was some bullet sponginess to it. And one of the enemies that is basically a sub-boss called the Lord of Chaos has an attack that's much like the Revenant in Doom 2, where it's line of sight and they can set you on fire.
Oh, okay.
But it's a pink fire and it will fuck you up. There's been a patch that actually reduces the damage of that fire.
Okay.
Which I'm like, oh, you assholes. Which that came out about 5 days after I finished it, I think, which is annoying. There's a weird amount of backlash on the Steam discussion boards over the level design and the lack of a map functionality in that game, which I thought was really weird because I didn't have that much of a problem with navigating the actual environments.
There's no map.
A couple
no in-game map.
No in-game map like Doom and things like that have.
Okay.
Which is certainly a design choice. But for the most part, the actual level design and the sort of usage of color, lighting, things like that, signpost where you're meant to go for the most part. There were a couple of spots where I was just like cluelessly stumbling around trying to figure out where to go. But I figured it out and ended up just randomly flopping my way through. So, like, would it have benefited from a map? Maybe. But the main spots I got bogged down were like sort of like teleports where it seemed random, but there was definitely a pattern once you actually figured it out. And I was just getting into the portals in the right pattern to actually progress. And I just randomly figured that out. Yeah, I dug it. I thought it was a very good one of those. That old school style shooter. There are a couple more of them coming. But yeah, I don't know. There were a couple of things that stop it from what I would say maybe getting onto my top 10 at the end of the year, perhaps, or me thinking it's one of those best games of the year. But it certainly is. It's not the best one of those that came out this year either. It's my favorite looking, but the actual playing of it and the combat's probably not quite as good as Hot, the Quake style shooter that came out a few months back. Fucking Street Fighter 6. Remember a few weeks back I said Street Fighter 6 can piss me off more than few games can? Yeah, it turns out that statement, A, is incredibly true, and B, it becomes even truer when you're just trying to chase back what you lose. It's like being at the casino. When you start losing and start trying to chase your losses back, you fuck yourself even harder. I had a shocking Saturday night run where basically in Saturday night, I dropped 2 gold ranks and lost almost 1,000, at least 1,000 league points.
So just by losing matches, you do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just by losing games. And it was just a frustrating, like, playing against modern control players, which for the I've gotten better at dealing with them. But there's one or two where, and I go into the replay, and I did this on Friday Night Fight Night, and went to the replay for one of them, and you just see the way that these people are just mashing out these combos, and it's just super frustrating. It's like, learn how to execute. Like, if you're sitting at gold or even higher using modern controls, and that's a problem, you should be learning how to actually do the execution rather than just relying on a one-button super. Which is frustrating.
I'm surprised that the game even sort of puts them onto the same leaderboard.
Yeah, you can matchmake against. It's completely random. You can't exclude modern controls in the matchmaking yet.
That's weird. Okay.
Which I'm hoping is a change they bring in, but we'll see. And just even against like people in the classics control scheme, just things that I didn't think should work or should happen to me were happening to me, and it was just pissing me off, and I was just making more and more mistakes and not finding my way in. And then I played for another couple of hours on Sunday morning and got some of that back and ended up going on a bit of a win streak. So not quite back to where I was, but a little bit more redeemed. There's a part of me that doesn't want to play that game anymore. Not because it's not good, but because I'm just, oh, you motherfuckers. And speaking of a game I don't know how much of I want to play again, Diablo 4.
Yeah, interesting.
I'm really hitting a grind wall on that thing.
What's to be expected with that particular game, isn't it? At some point you will, but...
I'm level 81. So the grind in the late game levels is real, and it's rough because it just takes so long to level up and get XP, and you're sometimes running into just massive groups of enemies with multiple elites and getting frozen in one hit, and then because you're frozen for 5 seconds, and you're just getting your ass beat. And this is all on tier 4, I need to say. Like, I'm on tier 4. I have got some good gear, or decent gear now. I've changed my skills a little bit to actually do a bit more damage. But it's this thing where it's like the only real thing left to do is, at least until the season starts, is the Echo of Lilith, and that's meant to be like a level 100 plus boss.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it's that thing where I don't know if that's going to be soloable or not. And to then get the other 19 levels to get there seemingly is a good another 10, 20 plus hours. And I don't know if I want to do it.
Yep, I can see that.
Like, it's that really good video game to have on when you're listening to podcasts or having more videos on the second screen or what have you. But really, the only things I've got to do when the Helltide comes up, which there's a really useful resource on the internet called helltides.com, because during the Helltide, it places all the like chests on the map where you can spend your aberrant cinders, but there's 2 chests that don't show up, and then chests of mysteries, they just have a bunch of random shit in it. That website actually shows the location of those mystery chests.
Oh, okay, yep.
So that's actually really, really helpful. There's the couple of world, like Legion events and the world boss, but you only get a gear cache from the world boss every week. So killing the world boss any more than that's not worth it.
Not worth it, yeah, okay.
And then it's just running nightmare dungeons over and over and over and over. Just to grind XP and grind loot.
Yep.
And some of those are fucked.
Bet they are.
Like, like, I'm mostly running level 23, level 24. I failed out of a few level 24 nightmare dungeons because I was just getting, I'd get frozen like that and then die like that. And it's like, let me dodge. So that was, yeah. But how much of that I keep playing, I don't know, because there's plenty of games I want to move on to. But when there's like those couple of channels, for lack of a better term, or sources that you want to watch their videos of, like, I don't like just sitting there randomly watching people play games because I get bored and I want to play games too. So it's good to have it on the screen. But if there's games that I want to play that are narrative focused and I want to focus on the story, then you kind of can't do that. So I bought Helldivers on the cheap during the Steam sale. The first one was like $7, so maybe I'll start that. I don't know. With Oxenfree 2 coming out this week, which I also bought that because I'm an idiot. I actually bought a few games this week. I'm a fucking idiot. Jagged Alliance. Have you seen the reviews for Jagged Alliance 3 yet?
No.
Very positive. Very positive. So I ended up grabbing that at 20% discount for pre-orders. That was fun. I haven't touched it yet, as you can see. Oxenfree has a very good story. I really enjoyed the story of it, and there's just a real number of what the fucking fuck moments. like the Telltale games have all of those sort of moments where you're like, and it happens a bunch in Oxenfree as well. I really like the look of it. The voice acting is pretty strong. There were a couple of annoying pathfinding issues where I'd go to click on a path that's down a climbable wall, and your character would try climbing up the wall, then down the wall, then up the wall, and it's like, what are you doing, man? Come on.
Okay.
But I played through it in one sitting. And that one sitting was approximately, where are we? 3.8 hours to get through it. But yeah, that's the story of it has a real pace and real forward propulsion to it that I really enjoyed. And it's not incredibly difficult, puzzle wise. There are a couple of puzzles in there, but nothing that really took a lot to like try and think through. But yeah, I think that's cool. I've got Oxenfree too. I'm going to start that at some point, and that's meant to be between 4 and 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how that turns out. And then Miasma Chronicles, I played through that in about 5 days, 27 hours total.
Mm-hmm.
Like it. So this is from the developer of Mutant Year Zero and also Corruption 2099, which I never ended up. I bought it because I'm an idiot and I never played it. Did you ever play that Corruption?
No, I did the same thing. I bought it too. But so I bought this. I played this because I talked about this a couple of weeks back. But
yeah,
I for some reason didn't record that I played it. So I don't know how long ago it was. But yeah, it sort of from me came out of sort of nowhere. Like I think I knew it coming. I knew they were making a new one or a new game, but didn't know when it was. What it was called, whatever. And just one day saw it on the Xbox dashboard. Thought, oh, what's this? Oh, it's their new game, and just immediately bought it. And played it, and I really, really enjoyed the opening. Probably a couple of hours of it. Really enjoyed it. So I'm curious to see what you think of because I've got to a point where you obviously got your character's name's Elvis. Is that right?
Yes.
No, Elvis. Yeah, Elvis.
Elvis. Yeah.
And you got your sort of robot dude whose name escapes me. Who's
Diggs.
Diggs. I like him. He's a good character. I like him. And then you at some point you join a third character. Jade, and that's basically where I got to and sort of seriously stopped playing at that point. We're not other things, but we'll get back to it. So I'm curious, what do you sort of think of?
I really like it in spite of some pretty big issues presentationally or narratively. It's got some really bad lines of dialogue and also bad reads of lines of dialogue. So some of the voice acting could really have done with a second take. And for as much as I like the character of Diggs, I think there could be seen to be an issue with him being presented in that very stereotypically black
100%,
way,
100%,
making him sound ultra hood. I think there is a problem there. It's a bit of a bother, but not enough to distract from the actual minute-to-minute gameplay, which is what held my attention so much.
Yeah,
and why I played basically through it in 5 days. Is like there's some of these things where it's like eye rolling. And it's like, man, this is giving me flashbacks of Ronda Rousey in Mortal Kombat 11, just how bad some of these line reads are, and Diggs being Diggs, which he's a very good character. I like Diggs as a character, but god damn, some of the way he would speak is kind of come on, man.
Yeah, they did. It's an over the top caricature of that particular type of person, and it will grate on people, no doubt about it. It will. Some people are going to go, that's fine, or they'll be okay with it. I'm probably more in the, not quite as far as you, but I can certainly see that aspect of it for sure.
Yeah.
And I can see that, this is just getting a bit too much on the nose in terms of the phrasing, the words, the dialogue itself, and the delivery of it just being a little bit too much. But yeah, I do like the character as a concept is really quite good.
And like you can get costumes for them later in the game.
Okay.
And some of the costumes are fucking rad. The exploration of it's that sort of that type of game that the bearded ladies make, that exploration, real-time exploration, sort of stealth element, and then the turn-based.
Yeah.
That element is what really hooked me in. Like, it's just exploring those environments, getting all the plastic, finding the different readables, finding the different items, and all that sort of stuff. The nature of some of the keypads and basically the hints for them being in the environment was really, like, once I figured out that was the case, which I didn't figure it out by myself. I ended up reading something on the discussion board, I think, that gave me that hint. That was really awesome. The trying to skulk around the environment and pick dudes off before you get Jade is really difficult. Because
she's basically a sniper. She's a sniper character, so she can do that.
But she has
easily.
A silent sniper rifle.
So
you can just like.
I think the first time you meet her, she sort of ambushes you in a way, but not just.
She's in the back. You actually see her in the back alley of the sedentary. And you talk to her for a little bit and she's like, who the fuck are you? Fuck off.
And then
You're right. She'll pop up going, I'm going to help you.
I'm going to help you. And then she basically, then you come across, I think it's about 7 or 8 dudes, I think, in an area. And there's 2 or 3 that are close to sort of a central point. And she just goes around the other side and just takes out each one by one. You basically go from 8 down to I think it's 3. Then when you're 3 guys left, you're able to basically take down the other guys, relatively straightforward after that. But yeah, that's after that particular mission, that's when I stopped playing. But yeah, I mean, I think she's got a, having that particular character, or not even the character, but say that gun, is a pretty critical thing to then be able to do some of the other areas, I'm sure.
So Elvis there's an ability on Elvis' skill tree that allows him to silently melee attack an enemy for 90 damage points.
Yep.
And there's also a silenced assault rifle in one of the story mission levels or areas. So basically, I would, if I ran up on someone that was high level of health or high level of hit points, it would be okay. Put Jade at a semi-long distance to be able to snipe them, and you can level up or improve the critical chance on the sniper rifle and her. She has an ability where it can add either 20 or then eventually 50% crit chance. Activate that because the issues in a lot of the reviews I read was that a lot of the abilities, the cooldown on the abilities didn't actually reset after each combat encounter, which would suck.
I think it was a bug though, wasn't it? I think, or is that?
I don't know if it was a bug or what it was, but I didn't have it happen. Yeah, so I was skulking around. Every single time I would take someone out, it would be, okay, crit chance on blap. And then if that didn't work, have Diggs or Elvis right next to him to hit him with the melee, and then Diggs with a silent assault rifle, and then they're basically always dead. It's get fucked. It's not optional. I don't think it's optional to do that stealthing around to actually take dudes out because it's almost insurmountable in some of those tactical tactical encounters, just with the sheer number of dudes. The final mission, you don't get the actual opportunity to do that, and you're facing at least 10 high level, high HP enemies. So I ended up spending at least 2 hours on that mission, restarting constantly. And my last run on it was over an hour because I was just kiting people around trying to be able to just pick them off one by one. I eventually managed to make it work.
Yep.
But despite some of the writing issues and things like that, I think this is I still don't think they top Mutant Year Zero.
Okay.
I don't think overall it is as strong as Mutant Year Zero.
I think the characters are probably better on the Mutant Year Zero side than...
There is that, and I don't remember the last mission in Mutant Year Zero being as messed up as this one was. But hey, it's done. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it almost purely for just the playing of it. The story was fine, and those elements of writing that we've already talked about sort of didn't necessarily get in the way.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm glad they fixed those cooldown things not working between combat encounters because that really would have pushed me away from it. I would have just been like, nope, I'm done here.
Yep.
Even Overwatch has a cooldown on it.
Yeah, which is an interesting choice, isn't it, to have that?
It's a very interesting choice, and then the cooldown wouldn't reset between battles. It's like, what are you fucking doing? But yeah, that's been my holidays. I've spent way too much time playing Diablo 4. It's just trying to get a half decent build for some damage and try and get to this point of being able to fight this Echo of Lilith. And then not even getting there because it takes so fucking long. Stupid goddamn game. I have to figure out if I want to do the seasonal stuff. Are you going to go back for that or?
I'll go back to the game. I don't know when though. I don't know when at this stage.
Because all the seasonal content you need to make a new character for.
Yeah, which is a bit of an odd. Yeah, I mean that's probably something you could reasonably do without without a big impact.
You
I mean,
can skip the story. You don't have to do the story on your second playthrough.
yeah.
I don't know why you wouldn't, because then you're just literally running around killing things and not even getting XP out of quests or anything. So I don't know, but no.
Yeah.
So you had yourself a trip to Melbourne.
Yes, I did.
Did the ally get itself a workout?
Yeah, it did. So the ally basically proved to be a good ally. Basically, is a good way to phrase it.
Fuck you, man.
That's the action I was looking for.
You motherfucker. I'm not typing that down for a title for this episode either. Fuck
why
that.
not? Why not?
No!
It's a good one.
No, I refuse to... I refuse to engage with shitty puns other than to just completely demean them. Shitty wordplay. God damn it.
Nah, look, so yeah, it was good. So the flight from Hobart to Melbourne's about an hour long. So you don't really have a lot of time to actually get out and actually play it per se. I think it did confuse a couple of the flight attendants that they didn't really know if what I was carrying was a handheld device like an iPad or an iPhone or a sort of a laptop. So I think they weren't really sure if I had to put it away at, when you fly, you've got to have device of a certain size you can't keep using once the seatbelt sign's on. When you're in the takeoff,
I didn't know it was a certain size. I thought it was just anything with network capabilities you had to basically put away or have in airplane mode or some shit.
They can have anything in airplane mode for the entire flight. But yeah, if you've got laptops, for example, because you normally would have the tray table down to then use it. That's the sort of the. I think that's the logic behind or the criteria behind it. If you need to have the tray table down, to be able to use it, then it's too big, quote unquote, and it can't be then used in the takeoff and landing, sections of the flight. But the Ally is easier to use while you've got the tray table down because you've got something to put it all on. Because it's not the lightest thing around. So for most part, I just played it when it was just when it was leveling out and it was basically I could have the tray table down. That was fine. But on the flight back, I did actually play it for a fair bit longer than that and was actually playing it like you would having it holding my hands, and it was fine. I mean, it has some weight to it, so it is a little bit heavy. But yeah, I mean, ultimately I played Dredge, was the game I played on it both times.
Yeah.
And that game is but it's a good game. We've had that discussion before. I'm not going to repeat that. So it's a great game. I'd sort of have forgotten what I was doing, so I had to sort of spend the first part of the first flight going, what the hell was I doing? How do I play this game? What do I call them? Pursuits. I had to figure out where they were again, how to get hold of them. I found them. I actually did a couple. Got a couple more, that sort of thing. I just generally did the fishing stuff just to remember how to play it. It went through for probably the 35 minutes or so battery. 30 so minutes of flying time where I was actually using it. It went down about 25% battery.
That's not too bad.
Which isn't too bad. Like
25% or used 25% of the battery?
Used 25%. So I had 75% left. So 85% or something like that. 75% left of the battery once I'd done that first stint. And much the same on my back. I think it might have gone a bit further because I actually used it for longer. So yeah, from that perspective, it works fine. Like you can charge it up. You've had the standard adapter with it. You can charge it up in the airport before you fly. So if you do use it, in the gate area, you can charge it up before you fly, and then you've got a bit more. You can use it for a bit longer.
Do you want a plane that had the USB or any charging ports or anything like that?
No. I was curious if it didn't have any. I was being curious if it did, whether it could actually supply power to it enough to charge it.
That would, because it's mostly just USB-C, isn't it?
If it's USB-C is what the device needs. Most of those power things aren't going to be using to power a device like that. They're going to be giving low voltage or low power supply to an iPad or an iPhone, which isn't going to consume near as much as this device does. I did go and buy on one of the days I had had a bit of a time off. I went to Harvey Norman, bought a external power adapter, which supplies more power than the standard adapter you get with the game, and was able to then buy a USB dock that gets powered by this external power supply, which then gives me HDMI out and other ports on the device itself. So you plug that into the USB-C port, and you've then got more USB ports, HDMI, more USB-C. So you got other ports you can plug stuff into. The idea behind that would have been that I would then use that device plugged into the TV that was in the hotel room. Then you're now playing on the TV. Had a Xbox controller with me, so I could just Bluetooth that to the Ally. I also had keyboard and mouse with me. Again, Bluetooth to the Ally, and I could play that sort of game. The downside was, and something I hadn't taken into account, is that they had to somehow disable the ability to get onto the HDMI output or input on the TV. So I couldn't even choose it as an input. So, which was disappointing.
That's weird.
I have seen hotels do that. They do it to, I'm sure it's just to make the thing last longer, basically. Having things being unplugged, and I suspect has damage, incurs damage and stuff like that. And that's the theory. In hindsight, when I went to then use the TV just to look at the TV, even though it had HDMI, I don't think it was particularly HD in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, most hotel TVs are fucking shit.
Yeah, so this one was in that bracket. So even though I had been able to get it on that display, on that monitor, on that TV, it might have just been better to look at it on the small screen of the LA anyway, because it would have been cleaner and clearer and stuff like that. But
do you think there's any value in getting like one of those portable 1080p screens or anything like that, like a travel monitor that you can hook up to that dock? That's a bit bigger. It's like a sort of yay biggish sort of screen.
Possibly. If you want to guarantee an external monitor, I guess you would do that. I think I've got to travel again in a couple of weeks' time, so I'll be in a different hotel this time. So I'll be curious to see if that hotel does the same thing to the TV. Even if it doesn't, you still got the screen itself is absolutely fine, of course. So it's not as if it's a bad screen or anything. So you could just keep playing it on the device itself. So it turns out, it's really, really good. I'm having now used it a couple of times on this trip, on the flights, and on in the hotel room, just using it. I'm really happy with the purchase now. I've essentially put it through. It's the one thing I couldn't really. The one thing I assumed was going to be okay, I now know is okay, and that's the actual purpose of buying it for travel, is actually okay. Like if you're going on a longer flight, I would imagine it depends on the game. Obviously, Dredge is a low impact game in terms of what it requires resources wise. Imagine if you were to go and play, say, Forza on it, you might only get,
or like Cyberpunk,
or something high end in terms of the graphics thing. You might your hour, your flight. If I went and did the same thing, the 25 minutes I played on for Dredge Horizon might consume half the battery or 2/3 of it. I don't know, sort of thing.
Get yourself a big fuck off like battery bank.
So that's really the thing. Is like if I'm on a longer flight, it's possible the battery may run out, and that's a possibility, of course. But as I said, you get your hotel, you charge it up again, you're back and using it within an hour. So it's not as if you're going to be completely screwed by it, sort of thing. It worked really well. And I still really like Dredge. Is the upshot of all that.
Dredge is dope.
Dredge is really good, so I'm still going to play through that.
Rad.
I'm still going to play through that.
How far are you in it?
I don't know how to even answer that question. Because it's got sort of what have I done?
Have you found any of the cursed items or what have you that weird old man gets you looking for? The dude in the lighthouse.
No, I have got that.
Okay.
Pursuit or whatever it's called, but I haven't done it. Yeah, it's hard to say because that's got such a nebulous sort of thing to it. But I've got probably I think I've got about half a dozen or so pursuits that I'm doing.
Yep.
I've upgraded to a faster engine for the boat.
Nice.
And I've got a light that has more light in it.
Lumens.
Lumens, thank you. That's what I was looking for. And yeah, still getting, fishing is still, the way to get the money in that game, as you know. Still dredging up, metal parts and steel parts. Haven't done any research yet. I think it's research.
That comes a bit later.
Because I just don't have the materials to actually do them.
Yeah.
So that's probably the one thing I haven't really progressed into at all. So I upgraded the ship a couple of times to get a better engine and stuff like that. And I've got the ability to dredge now. I think we did that in the. I think we got that in the. I think we got that in the checkout. I think we got to that point.
Almost. If we didn't, it was very close.
Very close. I've now got that. Yeah, so as I said, I'm really enjoying that game, and it'll probably be the game I play on travel, basically, because of the nature of it. But the other game that I did play and actually finish is Ixion.
Look out.
Is Ixion. How much did I actually end up playing that for? It's probably close to... I think it's probably close to 30 hours in the end. What was the playtime? 38 hours. 37.2 hours total.
That's not bad.
Which is good. Yeah, and I really dig that game a lot. I like it a lot. It does go some interesting places. So I think from memory, I started up. I think in our checkout we did the first starting of the game as how it sort of starts. And I think we jumped forward to about chapter 2, or I think we might have jumped forward to chapter...
I think it was only 2, because I think you only had 2 areas open.
Only 2, yeah. So I've eventually got all 6 sectors unlocked, which just needed because of the volume of things you're trying to do. In the 3rd chapter, I think it's the 3rd chapter. It was the 4th one. Pretty sure. No, it's the 3rd one. So the whole idea behind what this is, it's you're running a ship to the Tycoon, I think, as we sort of showed in the game, in the video, and you're working for a company called Dollars, which I don't know what that even stands for now. And it's basically you're like let's call it the equivalent of a SpaceX. Just use that as an analogy. And you're trying to find a planet called Remus, because that's going to be the new home for Earth, essentially. It's a planet you can habitat, you can land on, survive on, that sort of stuff. And as you progress through the story, you come across a ship, I guess, a vessel that's actually run by the UN. So there's some odd things happening here because of the UN sort of...
Like the UN?
UN, yeah. United Nations UN. What's that? And it's a bit... It's set like 2059 or 2050 or something, so it's way into the future, so things aren't quite as, as they are now, kind of thing. So you've then chasing this ship, which once you find it, it's basically dormant. And you go, oh, cool, I can just get into it, get what I need, and get out. But you then, in that process, you wake the thing up. And the thing is, the ship is now basically possessed by something. I'm not really sure what it is. I could even describe it as.
Are you sure you didn't accidentally stumble and fall asleep and start playing Dead Space?
And no, it's got some it's obviously got some Dead Space, inspired by narrative stuff.
Yeah.
But eventually, you wake up this thing called the Piranesi, and it starts attacking you. So in that game, then turns into this slightly odd, really slow turn-based game. So you remember the Tycoon being the thing that it was. When you're in that chapter, you actually you unlock's not quite the term, but you discover various planets in the system you're in, and you basically, once this thing starts attacking you, it basically starts to follow you. So it starts to sort of go, track towards you. It's not exactly it's not fast, but it's coming towards you. It will occasionally fire a missile at you, which if you've got the ability, an upgradable ability, you can basically destroy that missile on its route to you.
Interceptor.
Basically, it's just I can't remember the term what they called it, but yeah. And then you can fly away to another planet, and then you see the Paranesia slowly turn and start going towards you. So it's just this kind of cat and mouse, very slow cat and mouse game around this system you're in, this planetary system you're in. And then eventually you build a Faraday cage, essentially, around the Tycoon. Because what you're then going to do is you're going to set off a pulsar that's in the middle of the planet of the solar system, which essentially destroys the Paranesia. But because you're in a Faraday cage, you survive. You can then jump out of the system. As I said this in this last episode, this game goes places in a really odd way. So you're building up. You basically upgrade your hull to this Faraday cage thing, in essence, so it can survive this pulsar being.
So a pulsar is basically a big space nuke, right?
Yeah, essentially. I'm not sure what the term you detonated. I guess you detonated. I don't know.
Yeah. Set it off.
Set it off, whatever, and it goes boom.
It goes boom.
It goes boom. And yeah, then you vol jump out of that because that's the interplanetary jumping ability in that game. You then jump into
Mass Effect out.
Basically, you get into chapter 4. And you think, cool, we've got rid of the Paranesia, we're home and hose, we can now find our planet we want to get to, Remus, only to discover that there are people already on it. We go, oh, shit, okay.
Motherfuckers.
So we've got a couple of options. We can either go through this process, and I didn't do this, I think there's multiple endings in this game, and if I'd done... So I
looked it up at some point, I think there are multiple endings.
Yeah, so there are... I then discovered because what I always did when I went into a new system was, okay, where are the planets in this system? What planets are on this system? I can go and do little story-based stuff in it and get resources from them or whatever. You then came across another planet called Romu something. Romulan, something. That's a planet you can inhabit. And it's completely devoid of anything there. Okay, so I went down that path, and that's what I ended up doing. If I went back and played the other mission, other planet, the solution is you don't just land there and start living with the people that are there. You basically change your genetic makeup to live with them. So you go through this process where you basically change essentially in a very basic level, you change your people's DNA in order to live with these other people, which have got a really odd name, Ash.
Why? Why not just bomb them? Why not just kill them?
Well, because they were kind to you apparently they helped you out in the
Man,
past.
fuck them. They're in the way.
So that's the other thing you can do. As I said, you can basically integrate your human race with their race. Think Mass Effect and think of sort of Liara's, maybe Liara from that game.
Yeah, what's that race called?
I can't remember what she was called now.
It is Asari.
Asari. So think that kind of visual.
Asari War.
You think that kind of visual look. I'm not saying they're exactly that, but that's how they sort of looked in the art that was presented to me. So you can basically change your DNA or your makeup, or I can't remember the term they used in the game, to assimilate with that particular species essentially, or you can go down another path and just land on this other planet and just live there. So I did that one.
Did you become the Avatar people?
No.
I was going to say, because the Asari aren't far off the Avatar people.
Doing the first thing, going and reassigning your DNA or whatever, that would probably go down that path in a way. Yeah, so that's basically. Then you start that process um, of landing on, or trying to build up this other ship, and then the Piranesi comes back. It's okay, it's back. It somehow survived being blown up, and your solution is to basically um, getting all your crew across to the planet to populate it with your people, um, and then the end point of the game is you basically fly the Tycoon into it, which then destroys the Piranesi. Except you've got to stay on the boat on the Tycoon and go down with the Tycoon.
That sounds like that. Remember the ending of Fallout 3?
No, didn't play it.
Where, so basically, like, Fallout 3, you had to turn on the water or some shit, but it was in a nuclear chamber. But, like, by the time I played Fallout 3, there was the DLC that got added to mean that the game didn't just end.
Oh,
So
okay.
you could, like, say to your robot friend who wouldn't be affected by the radiation, or the mutant who was with you, whatever,
Mm.
hey, you, go turn this off so I don't die, you won't die, everyone will be happy. And then he goes, oh, I don't know, I think you deserve the right to turn this off and have this heroic action. I'm like, fuck you, get in there and turn it off. Sounds sort of the same thing.
Yeah, but there was an option because when I played through it, there was a thing that I did. Oh, would have been like 2 or 3 story missions ago now from when I this endpoint. That sort of implied that this would allow me to do something really useful in the end. And there's an option on the game options, like you just go down with the ship or this other option essentially. And the other option was available, so I clicked it, which I think meant that God, what was the terminology? Like you're called the administrators, your title, your character. You basically could download your personality into the Tycoon. That's not right. That's not the right term to use, but that's what it sort of implied. Which means it would then fly into the planet, into the Piranesi, and destroy it in itself, and you would still survive because you weren't on the boat on the ship at the time, sort of thing. So I did that, and I think that kind of worked, but I'm not really sure. So yeah, it does go interesting places, and I really enjoyed where it went. It was an interesting game. Um,
My head's a little broken.
as I said, I for a game like that, for a base builder game like that, to have the story that it did is unusual. Like they don't normally go down that kind of multi-choice path. And there are even some of the, like when you get to some of the planets and do some of the sort of planet-based missions that are on it, they can go badly, and you can lose your crew, you can lose ships, you can do actions that piss off all of the crew on the Tycoon, and they all hate you, sort of
There
thing.
we go.
So, but you can also do ones where they love you for it. There's one where you actually save a dog. um,
Is it a cute dog?
oh, very cute dog. Yeah, very cute dog.
Hooray!
So yeah, I mean, it's got a lot to it, and you wouldn't think a game like that would. Games like that normally don't. Normally they are survive to this, go survive forever sort of thing, and that's kind of what there are. But this does actually have a start and
Like a
end point,
story.
an actual story to it.
That's
That
weird.
does actually sort of push the game on at a fairly decent sort of rate. Like you could, there are a couple of points where I said, right, I've got a feeling I'm going to have to rebuild some of these areas because I sort of did them in a slapdash way when I first started. Because once you realise once you've got other building, oh shit, I don't have any space for that anymore. I'm going to rejig the layout of things. Um, I then spent probably 5 or 6 hours just redoing every sector. So I had heaps and heaps of
Mm.
um, population capacity. So I could hold over 6,000 people that I think I can get up to. I got over 5,000 in the end. Um, in fact, some of the achievements are pretty good. What did I do? Oh,
So if you demolish the the inhabitation or the habitation areas, does that just kill all the people?
Sorry, whatever.
So if you destroy like the inhabitants basically housing on the station, does that just kill all the people or not? They
um,
just go, "Hey, we need a place to live, you fucker."
basically, yeah. In essence, like if you've got enough, so when I built so as you progress that game, you can upgrade a whole bunch of things.
Mm.
One thing you can upgrade is you can upgrade the crew quarters to different types of housing, basically.
Mm.
So you start off with just a regular house, which I think has 15 people in it. I think. Then you get a
I
different.
remember. Yeah, that sounds about
I
right.
think it's 15. Then you can upgrade that to something else which holds like 40. Then you hold up again that holds like 105 or something. So once you can also then build another one which is like a basically it's a jail basically. You build a jail that actually attaches itself to the side of the building, and that holds 125. But because of the nature of the building, it's actually negative on the what's the word they used? Like the
Inhabitants.
happiness,
Why are you
happiness.
jailing people? What the fuck?
No, that's what it looked like. It looked like the jail. Like that's then
Oh,
we're just.
right.
I'm not
Okay.
saying it was
So
one, but
it's not
just
actively labelled as a jail or
no, but
just like
that's
you
that's
fuck off to jail.
no. That's just how. That's what it looked like. The best way to describe it versus the more standardized houses that was in the game. Um,
Thought Graham was creating a one-party dictatorship where he was suppressing all dissidents and throwing him in a fucking gulag.
um,
Graham and his gulags.
so yeah, so basically, once you've done that, so once I had to do was I had to basically build big houses, then the smaller ones, and then sort of did repeat that. So they basically just move houses essentially. Like if
Oh,
you're about to, as long as there's other houses they can move into, they will just move. They will just move automatically. So if I'm going to dismantle this building that that has 15 people in it, and they've got another house that has 100 spaces free, they'll just move.
but if they don't have those spaces, do you end up killing those people?
No, I don't think so. I think the game would
Oh.
probably say that for a period of time you don't have housing for them, and if that keeps on going too long, they will start to rebel against you, and then your popularity drops.
Okay.
I think one of the endpoints, if you get down to um, popular, I'm not sure what they called it. Call it something else, but 0% of this percentage, the game then
Hmm.
basically just ends, and so you've pissed off everybody too much. So done.
It's like Reigns, where everyone's like, "Oh, nope, you pissed everyone off, and now your head's on a stick."
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Sweet.
um, so what was
So, how
that?
many achievements do you have left?
I've got 20, 28.
Left.
Got 29 of the 57.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, there's still seemingly a fair bit to do then.
Yeah, there would be achievements about the other path I mentioned, that other planet that I could
Hmm.
assimilate with. That would be the other achievement to finish that storyline. We'll do that one. I'm sure there's others in there about um, um, yeah, other planet-based stories. Like when you land on a when you're not land on a planet, when you go to a planet, you've got certain sort of mini stories you can do on that planet,
Hmm.
and I'm sure there'll be some that are probably achievements or
Oh, typed achievements and shit like
tied
that.
to
Yep,
achievements in that stuff,
definitely.
like doing certain things or certain path through the little actions or whatever. Um, Most of the achievements I've got left looking at this stuff is just things that are um, um, what's I'm looking for things that can happen. Like for example, have 5 accidents within a single cycle. So
Oh, okay.
that
So
sort of
stuff like
stuff.
that. Yep.
Have 5 minership actives at the same time. But that just means you've got to build more of them, sort of thing.
Hmm.
Have fires in 20 buildings at the same time. That kind of stuff. Build a certain. They had a building type called a whole temple, which I didn't build, but there's an achievement just for building it. That's basically what it was. Yeah. um, there's one in here.
Now I'm just getting flashbacks of Futurama where Bender built himself a temple in Egypt. or Space Egypt. Remember me. Good old Bender.
Unlock all sectors. That was easy.
So there's still stuff to do should you choose to do it.
Yeah, which I won't. But yeah, you could go back and play out the ending in a different way. Most of the other ones.
Is it just a singular save file? Like, could you save at the different branching points?
There's save points in the game that you could go back to. But I don't know how far I'd have to go back to then replay to be able to make that other choice. So
yeah,
it might be 1 hour, it might be 5 hours, it might be 10 hours. I just don't know. Things like here, like have the tycoon's hull integrity erode below 5% and survive. That sort of thing.
Yeah. I've had achievements like that in certain games where it's like, oh no, and then trying to play it any longer, it's like, well, fuck this. This is ruined.
There's also some hidden ones which I don't know what they are. So, which are probably going to be the ones I'm saying, story-based ones that I would have to replay in a certain path to get. But going back, I like it. I like it a real lot. Like it's one of the few games I've actually finished this year, which puts it in a bit of its own category. But I really, really did enjoy it a lot. And that's obviously me. So shall we go into the beginning of the end?
Yes. Why not?
Right, let's think. What was so? The next episode we're going to record will be the 30th of July, all things being equal. So we can do an August releases in that episode. That'll be cool.
Yep.
What have you got planned video-wise? What have you done? I've not really been paying much attention because I've been working and stuff. So
all I've really done is just the Friday night stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I finished MK11.
Okay.
Friday just gone. For kicking old school, there's the Aftermath storyline, which I want to do as well because I haven't done that yet. I remembered how fucked the last fight in MK11 is. Like, I basically got through the whole story. I didn't lose a fight. I barely dropped a round.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to Chronica, and you realize that the MK bosses are always fucked. And that game technically has 3 endings.
Okay.
And I wanted to get the other endings, so I went back and tried beating Chronica again, and then I just, after about 5 attempts, I got pissed off, and I was like, fuck this, dropped it to very easy and did it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so there's the Aftermath storyline for that I'll start off this coming Friday. And then just continuing on with the old Street Fighter 6. Hopefully just slowly plod my way through to Platinum. That'd be nice. But, yeah, I don't know. Given the Saturday night I had with that fucking thing, Jesus Christ.
Platinum? What do you mean Platinum?
The ranks.
Oh, Platinum, the ranks. Okay, good.
Yeah, so I'm currently in Gold 2.
Okay. I
was Gold 3 for Friday Night Fight Night, and then on Saturday dropped a bunch of points, so I dropped to Gold 2. But yeah, hopefully I'll be able to just slowly get my way through to Platinum. And we'll see what happens. Then I'll just end up playing people who are way fucking better than me and get my head kicked in. But you don't end up dropping major ranks.
Okay, yep.
So I can't drop back down to silver.
Okay, so once you get platinum, you stay there basically. Yeah, okay.
And hopefully don't just keep playing against dudes with a platinum 5 or fucking diamond and just beat my head in. I don't know. It might get to a point where it's like, oh, no, this is fucked. But we'll see. And then, I don't know, there's some things I want to look at, but, I don't know. Play that shit by ear, really. I don't know. Haven't 100% felt fully up to or wanting to, I don't know, do video stuff. It's just like, I'm going to play more Diablo. And no one wants to just watch me play Diablo for fucking 4 hours. But, no.
No, we'll see. There might be some demos still active from the demo from Steam and XFix, so we might have to do some
There
of
are a
those.
couple of things that I wouldn't mind looking at video or demo wise, and like, there are some things I could very easily do some video stuff for,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll get to that. I can say there is fuck all coming out this week of any interest, like nothing. Next week, or I mean the week after, woo, Remnant 2 is out in like, yeah. Oh, I really hope that game's good. I have a sneaking suspicion that it might come out to be poop. Anyway, I got nothing.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I was going to say, the beginning of the end is going to be rather short, unless you want to talk about the FTC losing.
No, I'm still trying to read up on exactly what that is and what that means, so we'll cover that at some point in the future.
As of right now, it's literally only the CMA in the UK that needs to be convinced.
No, the FTC appealed, so that's still not.
No, the appeal got knocked.
When did that get knocked? Like recently?
In the last 12 hours of time we're recording.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they appealed, and I think the appellate court or whatever just said, ha, no.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's basically cleared that, unless the FTC is going to try and appeal to the Supreme Court, which I don't think they'll try and do.
No, God, no, hell no. They were never going to win the appeal anyway.
Yeah.
So
a lot of people are expecting an announcement of the deal being finalised within the next week or so.
Makes sense, because I think the actual ending date was like the 18th of July, I think.
Yeah, it was very close.
Yeah, so it was pretty close to being done anyway.
But yeah, otherwise, there's not really that much that's happened.
No. So yeah, let's call it then. So this has been episode 284 of the Should I Play This Game podcast for the 17th of July 2023. Thank you, Steve. It's been a pleasure. We'll be back again in a couple of weeks for the next podcast. We'll do some video stuff between then. But until then, bye now.
Bye.